investors working with the likes of Steven Spielberg and the owner of the New York Mets think they're trustworthy, right? Well, apparently not. Turns out Bernard Madoff could be one of the biggest crooks in history. We're talking about a type of a pyramid scheme, Ponzi scheme that could reach, well, he took anyway, up to $50 billion. Now, yes, he's accused of ripping off bigwigs like Spielberg, charities, hardworking people as well, like these people here. Arnold and Joan Sinkin invested their life savings in this guy, and in one fell swoop, it was all gone.
You can get in with Bernie Madoff. Wow, you're lucky. And it's just gone in one telephone call.
This is what they refer to as the golden years, where you retire and you try and enjoy life, and then you get wiped out in 48 hours.
Listen to that, it's heartbreaking. The guy was in the carpet business for 54 years and raised 4 kids. They thought they had put away $1 million. As he said, we're going to live the golden years. Had the dream home in Florida. They're going to have to sell that now. So, it's unbelievable. And joining us now to talk about this one, Watchdog from Wall Street, Chris Markowski, he's a radio talk show host. You can find out more, watchdogonwallstreet.com. Also with us, Fortune magazine reporter, Katie Brenner. Katie, what the heck did this guy do? We're trying to get the details, wrap our heads around it. How did he pull this off?
Well, everyone's sort of trying to get the details for how he accomplished what he accomplished. I mean, he was such a well-respected member of Wall Street and the investing community. And what it looks like he did is that he had a trading firm, he'd been head of the NASDAQ, and that he used his reputation, I guess he borrowed against his reputation. He used that brand of his respectability in order to get money from people. So, and his reputation was so good that they stopped asking questions. Okay.
Chris, nuts and bolts here. So was there any money, or how would he pay off? Like, say I'm investing with him and I say, okay, I need some money. I need $5 grand. Where did he get the $5 grand? How did this all work out so we really can understand this here?
I think the market conditions over the past year exacerbated and actually caused a lot of the problems why the Ponzi scheme fell apart. Obviously, certain retirees were getting money on a regular basis that needed to come out of that, and I guess there was some major withdrawals that came from Europe, some $7 billion that basically did him in. But what's interesting in regards to this thing, and you know, Bernie Madoff, he's not new. He's no different than a boiler room operator or any of these other guys out here. It's just a different scale. What they are is brilliant at making other people think that they're brilliant when they're really nothing more than charlatans. The fact that this guy got involved with all these charities, these Jewish organizations, is just another example of affinity fraud, which has been going on here for a long time. You know,
you look at his picture, and a lot of people said, you know, he had a certain charm about him. It seemed like he had an innocent face, and then again, he's accused, not convicted yet. About $50 billion, and you heard from the poor Sinkin family, their life savings gone. We got more questions coming. Didn't anybody raise a red flag at some point? We're going to explore that. The Madoff scandal to the tune of $50 billion. More on that coming. Now we're continuing our conversation about Wall Street investor Bernard Madoff, accused of ripping off everyday people, charities, and bigwigs like Steven Spielberg to the tune of $50 billion. We're joined by Katie Brenner from Fortune magazine and Chris Markowski, Watchdog on Wall Street. Katie, where'd all this money go? $50 billion? You can't just hide that in a mattress. What happened here?
Well, people are trying to find that out. Nobody is really sure where money is, or if any even still exists, what the money was used for, whether he spent it, whether he invested it. There are conspiracy theories all over Palm Beach that it's hidden somewhere, and maybe people will get their money back, but I do truly believe it's probably gone.
How'd they finally catch him, Katie?
Well, I think that, you know, earlier as we were saying, that with a lot of market volatility, people were pulling their money out in amounts too large for him to possibly continue to cover up by just taking in investor cash. And it's true, there were people who did raise red flags about this years ago.
House of Cards finally fell on him. Was there, Chris, ever a confession or anything? Did he finally fess up to anybody, or how did it completely come down on him?
Reports have it that he was actually confronted by some of his family members. I think his sons, if I'm not mistaken. There was some little bit of worry because he wanted to issue the Christmas bonuses a couple months earlier, and that started raising some questions. And from what I heard is he did confess. I heard that the feds came to his apartment and he basically said, you know, there's nothing there. I did it, which angers me to some degree because this guy just got an extension today for 2 days to get himself out of jail on a $10 million bond. Now, if somebody held up a liquor store and admitted to doing it, they're not going to let him out on bail, especially if he admitted to it.
Yeah. Hey, Chris, didn't anybody ever raise a red flag about this guy and his business practices and the money flowing in and out of there?
Well, I mean, I saw statements from this guy several years ago, and I couldn't make heads or tails out of them. Now, I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but if I can't understand a brokerage statement and where the money is, something's amiss. J.P. Morgan Chase actually interviewed this guy as well, and they couldn't make heads or tails and reverse engineer how he was going about making money. There were red flags out there. Anybody who's telling you that they're going to consistently show 10, 12, 15% returns year in, year out, no matter what the markets is doing, they're lying to you. It's just not possible.
Katie, did the SEC really drop the ball on this one?
Certainly. I mean, speaking of red flags, in 2001, Barron's wrote a very, very good article raising lots of questions not only about Madoff, but about who's regulating him, you know, and people have been asking, why wasn't the SEC more aware of the fact that this is a man who worked completely independently? He had a closed circle, and he didn't even, you know, there was nobody asking him any questions whatsoever.
Yeah, tip of the iceberg on this one. So many more questions. Guys, thanks.